Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So first off, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my YouTube members, Tinky. Thanks for your support. Now first off, in order to access these new banners, make sure you do go to the App Store or Play Store to update to 2.11.500. And if you are having troubles playing through the prologue, make sure you do, if you do run into any technical issues, I tried reacquiring data and it did work for me. So hopefully if you do run into problems, either wait for a patch or try reacquiring data before proceeding. Otherwise, may hold off for starting the prologue. Now that being said, in tonight's episode of Should You Summon, we're going to discuss the newest banners and of course the newest vaulted, exciting unit, Alma. And if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. Now we'll cover the banner that contains Alma, both in the Fateful and the regular, and then I'll quickly also talk about the 7-day encounter that was recently fixed as well. So of course, let's go directly into the Fateful. Remember that this is a 2x max Fateful. Keep in mind that like all Fatefuls that guarantee or uprate a character, 0.4% chance of the 4.5 for pulls 1 to 9. And obviously on the 10th pull, you do have a 10% uprated for the 5-star. Note that it is 0.8% for the 5-star on pulls 1 to 9. And of course, being that this is a paid banner, all the newest units are in here, including things like AS Yifa, Jet Tactician Xion, AS Radius, and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, you know what's up. The normal bots, Rainbow Sisters and Knights. You can see that Jet Tactician's right there. ES Mew, for example, and so on and so forth. And for those who are free banners like myself, you can use your free stones or paid stones. This one is going to be a split banner with Mistrar, normal style. And so again, 0.4% for both the 4.5 of Alma and Mistrar. And for the 5-star is a 0.8% chance on every 5-star pull. So that means that either on single pulls or 10 pulls, the rate up for Alma, it will be exactly the same. Although if you do a 10 pull, you have a slightly better chance of getting a 4.5 or a 5-star over just single pulls. Keep in mind that because free banners are about 2 banners behind, I don't believe Jet Tactician's in here, or note that AS Yifa is also not in here. You can take a look there. Let's see if Jet Tactician's in here. And no, Jet Tactician's also not in here. And same thing, bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights everywhere. Hopefully they do not visit you that often. Now, as for Alma, Alma is a very highly sought after unit. She is our first Crystal Zone setter. As a Crystal Zone setter and the only one in the game, she does have end of turn boost for Crystal type moves. So depending on the number of Crystal moves done that turn, anywhere from 15% boosted up to 60% based on 4 moves, including copied moves of Crystal. And for those who are wondering what Crystal Zone does, it increases all crystal damage by 30%. However, it reduces all other element moves damage by 30%. Now, in one hand, that can be a downside. However, Crystal Zone is the only zone that exploits weaknesses. And so if the enemy is weak, it'll add an extra 80% to any of your moves, whether or not it's crystal, if the enemy is weak to crystal, or a specific element. So even with a minus 30% on, say, a fire element move, if the enemy is weak to fire, with that 80% weakness bonus in Crystal Zone, your fire attacks will now do 50% extra damage, which actually coincides with a fire zone type boost. Keep in mind that if you do Awakened Zone, you get additional bonus beyond that. Not only that, Crystal Zone is one of the few zones that tie in all elemental moves. So normally in zones, you get 7.5% AF gain from that particular weapon zone or elemental move. However, in this case, any elemental move will now boost 7.5% AF gain within Crystal Zone, including Crystal, Fire, Water, whatever element you will get will get 7.5%. So this is one of the few zones that can actually really tie together a lot of units. And keep in mind that the zone itself helps to exploit weaknesses, and so you'll be able to do a ton of damage with multiple different types of elements as long as the enemy is weak to it. Now back to Alma herself. First of all, as a crystal lunatic, she has the Mind's Eye specialty as opposed to the copy move. So she is very like, for example, RCF or AS Clark, where Lunatic gives her Mind's Eye, which increases damage and healing by 50%. Also adds a weakness multiplier so that her damage against weakness enemies is extra damage on top of the zone. And of course, like with most lunatics, it is activated with the basic attack essentially for 3 and it lasts 3 turns. When she activates Lunatic and gets the Mind's Eye, at the end of turn, she'll also get 5 stacks of Arcana, which will be consumed and convert her into something called Trance State, which will increase her power, int, and speed of herself for 3 turns by 50. That is quite a bit of a boost, and also gives her guaranteed crit for her magic and physical attacks. Very similar to Iesukia, where it takes 1 turn for the end of turn to convert into, for example, her adversity mode. So it won't be on first turn. You'll get it on second turn if you start her in the front line, or on potentially start of the third turn if you VC her in and establish Crystal Zone. Now, as for her powerful moves, she can place a scope on a single enemy and change the element of her own attacks from crystal to whatever the enemy's weakness element is. That is only if the enemy has a weakness. If it doesn't, obviously you'll default to crystal. Not only that, she can detect the stats on a single enemy with that scope, which means that you can see the defense stats, the HP, MP stats on an enemy if you're curious as to how much you have to deal to the boss, any HP, like that kind of stuff. So very, very interesting, but the main thing is she can change to any enemy's weakness and exploit that weakness. Keep in mind that that can be combined with units such as Jet Tactician Xion, where Jet Tactician Xion can swap or Uno reverse card the weaknesses and resists, such that she can exploit that as well. Not only that, she has 2 extremely powerful moves. One can exploit a weakness and do extreme amounts of damage if the enemy is weak, and even if the enemy is not weak, still does a very respectable amount of crystal AoE pierce damage. And the other move, again, if the enemy is not weak, as long as she's in trance state, which I said will activate from her lunatic, giving herself 5 arcanas and the end of turn into trance, that will do a ton of damage, which also ignores barriers and status immunities and so on and so forth. So high potential for major DPS, a lot of flexibility in terms of converting into any enemy's weakness and exploiting that. Also is the only unit that can deploy Crystal Zone, which can tie together a lot of different units as long as they do elemental attacks, especially in certain fights where there's more than one element that you need. You can really tie together those things, which would, for example, be very useful for things like boss rush or maybe other types of extremely difficult fights. So, should you summon? See, the problem nowadays is that a lot of the units that have been coming out, for example, AS Radius, AS Yifa, Jet Tactician Xion, and now Alma, are extremely powerful, and it's almost a matter of which one do you prioritize. I would consider Alma definitely a top tier unit. The fact that she can switch to weakness, the fact that she can do extremely high damage mods, self-boost herself, and again, being the only unit that can do and deploy Crystal Zone makes her A+ in my book. If you're wondering how I kind of target my summons and recommend summons to people, I try to recommend units that don't have any real replacement as free units or have a unique mechanic that other gacha units currently do not have. And so Alma really fits all those boxes. Deploys Crystal Zone, can switch to the enemy's weakness, and of course do other crazy things like that. Not only that, but the unique stat of kind of detecting stats on a single enemy is very interesting as well. One other thing I forgot to mention, if she uses up her Lunatic and it fades, she can restore her own lunatic. So, I mean, wow. That is pretty useful, and especially useful in longer fights such as like the aforementioned boss rush or other types of fights. So the answer is, in summary, if you have stones and you can afford to summon for Alma, definitely summon for Alma. The downside is that it is a split banner with Mistrar, so you do have a lower chance of getting Alma, but I think the risk of going for it is worth it. If you're comparing to the other banners currently available, AS Yifa, Jet Tactician Xion, and even the Eastern Force Summer 22 Special, if you had none of any of the units, my overall ranking, and again, you can disagree because, you know, we all have different expectations of what we think are good units, I would target Jet Tactician Xion first. That is only if you have no form of Xion. If you do have a form of Xion, I highly recommend trying to grind out those opuses as I did and side grading for the Jet Tactician. Followed by Alma would be my next choice. Followed by either the Ally Encounter Eastern Force Summer Special or AS Yifa. Now, AS Yifa, again, isn't a bad unit, and I did discuss some of the pros and cons about her in our last Should You Summon, but the thing is, she is more of a support, and she can boost up extremely powerful units. However, especially depending on what state of the game you're at and what you're trying to accomplish with your game, you might want something more of a frontline unit. Alma is pretty much a DPS through and through, doesn't really have any healing or any real support. She does actually have a triple debuff of power, int, and speed if you have put the scope on the enemy. So she does have some debuffing ability, but in terms of boosting others, not really. She's mainly there to switch to whatever weakness the enemy has and splat them herself. AS Yifa can support units like Alma, and a lot of people are probably trying to combine teams with AS Yifa as well as Alma. However, if you're just trying to choose between one of the two, I feel that you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck, literally, with a gun-toting Alma over AS Yifa as in a vacuum. However, for developed rosters, of course, you can say that every unit can have some usage. As for Jet Tactician Xion, the fact that he is a very useful and versatile magic zone setter, the only one that could do it through a move, I do value that a little bit more than Alma, especially for people who may not have a magic zone setter yet, or if you want a one-turn AF with a magic zone, in which case Ultra Xion is the only one that can do that so far. Now keep in mind, if you are able to get one or more of these, Ultra Xion can be used with Alma because Alma has a crystal magic move, and so of course she can contribute to magic zone attacks with her crystal. And of course, if you have all three, you can combine them together to do all sorts of shenanigans in the game. So again, I don't want to really say every unit is the best or you must have one over the others. The problem is that all of these recent banners are extremely powerful, but consider going for Alma, especially since she is the only Crystal Zone setter in the game and has all these other benefits which I've mentioned. Again, we can't really say that Crystal Zone is the best zone. However, it is very unique, and we don't have anything like it yet. So for those who still decide on going for Alma, I wish you all great luck. For myself, I am planning to spend some stones on Alma, hopefully not too much. Obviously, there is no other form of Alma, and so I'll try to go for it on this banner. And if I am not successful, then we'll have to recoup and reconsider our options at that point. So anyways, let me know if you are planning to summon for Alma. If you've already summoned for Alma by the time of this video, let me know what you've gotten. Hopefully, many of you have gotten some sweet units or some off-banner units you don't already have. And I'll just quickly go over the 7-day Fateful. The 3 units are obviously here. Melissa, Black-clad Swordsman, as well as AS Nike. And so 7.77% times 3. Not bad. They're all katana users. Just quickly speaking, if you're talking about a 10 pull that's paid, if you need, specifically Alter Iska or Melissa, then I would say this is a fair banner for you to go for. I'm not sure how viable AS Nike is at this point. However, she doesn't have a manifest yet, and so she does have room for improvement. As a main line katana water DPS, she is no slouch either, although I don't think she's as used often nowadays. So, it's a pretty good banner for 7-day encounter. However, I wouldn't say it's the best use of your money in general. Most of the 7-day encounters are not really too much value. Anyways, again, good luck, and hopefully you are enjoying the newest episode of Fatum Argentori. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.